Hey everyone, it's Sensei Victoria Whitfield here, your journey partner in business. You can find me at naturalintuition.com. And this is another expert interview. So I'm speaking to industry visionaries about a loaded question, right? For me personally, as a business Reiki master, I love asking this question and hearing different points of view. I don't want to Google it. I don't want to hear it from Google. I don't want to hear it from some dusty old dictionary. I want to hear it from people who are living and breathing this work. And the loaded question is, true or false? Your energy has nothing to do with your level of sales and productivity. So before we get into that question, though, I want everyone watching to get to know this amazing visionary woman that I am speaking to today. So Deanna Goddess, if you could introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and where people can go find you so that they understand more of where you're coming from and what you represent as you weigh in on this topic. Tell us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really awesome to be here. And I was thinking we've known each other probably about 5 years.
Yes.
Met up early on the journey, and here we are again, complete circle. Well, maybe not complete, just keep going.
The spiral continues.
My name is Deanna Gloyd, and I am a transformational coach, and I work with the Akashic Records. So I work with highly sensitive people, empaths, and starseeds. And so my mission by the divine is to help those people to empower themselves because they've often suffered from narcissism, sociopath, psychopathic treatment. And so very quickly, so that those of you out there, they're like, oh, right. My understanding is that, let's see if we can get in the picture here. At this end of the spectrum, you have a psychopath. And at this end of the spectrum, you have a full-blown, they have a new name for it, and I don't remember what it is, but a highly sensitive empathic healer. And then there's everything in between. And people often ask me, that come to my client base, why, as an empath, that they're drawn to these people. And what it is you're on the same spectrum. Okay, so you've got your psychopath over here, and you come in a little bit narcissistic, you come in sociopath, then you're a person that has no real sensitivities, although they're there, they're just, not recognizing them. Then you have your highly sensitive person, then you have your empath, then you have your full-blown healer that has both of them. They're coming through now with a term for that, which off the top of my head, I don't remember, but it's both of them. So they're both highly sensitive people and empathic. And it is quite a treat to be both of those because talk about energy. So anyway, if you're interested in learning more about that, the name of my website is toolsofenergyprotection.com. So the question is about energy, but it's energy protection.
Oh, amen to that. That's toolsofenergyprotection.com, correct?
Yes, and there you will find a blog. Every week I will post something helpful for free, so you can come and read that. Sometimes it's an exercise. And then on the About page, there's a link to my Facebook page where I do a Tuesday night live. People can come do Q&A, and then that gets posted over to YouTube.
I love it. I love it. Fabulous. And I am so grateful to get to add your flavor to this rainbow of conversation I've been having around this question, right? To get to talk energy healers perspective, right? And to really dive into that also as a transformational coach. So again, the loaded question is true or false? So thank you for the drum roll. Thank you. I love you.
I'm just a goofball.
Please don't change. Don't change. It's such good energy.
Thank you.
So true or false, your energy has nothing to do with your level of sales and productivity. Go. Let's.
That's false. And the first time I ever heard you say it, my hackles went up.
tell. All right, now let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Because, when somebody told me, well, your energy level has nothing to do with your level of productivity, I'll be like, zing! Oh no, that is so not true. So, being the beautiful, divine goddess that you are, and you normally speak in truth on your videos, and I'm all innocently listening to this video, and then I heard you say that.
Freaked out. I traumatized you. I'd apologize if I was sorry.
It didn't traumatize me. It was just like, say what?
That's a big fat false. Get out for me, then, goddess. Tell me why. Why is it false?
Oh my goodness. Well, so recently, I experienced an illness because this is a little personal, but it is so poignant to what's happening, and especially in the world at large, and with energy workers, healers. I I didn't discover, but I started hearing the high pitched whine in my ears years ago. Do you hear that? Okay, the twill. Okay. And I didn't think anything about it, but the long and the short of it is the more that I held sessions longer and the higher my vibration came, the louder it became. And so pre-COVID, it just became like a white noise. It was always with me. And I didn't think anything about it. But I would notice if you do sessions, it would go up and this and that. And so I had a lot of people ask me about it. And then we came into COVID, and I talked about the Schumann's frequency, which is the energy of the earth, the heartbeat of the earth. And I would notice that when Schumann's went up, so did the twill. And some people describe it as pressure. So I had been studying it for a while, because I'm not, I don't have a degree in quantum physics, but I have quantum physics friends, and I'm bringing it from that level to, more understandable for me. And in that, what I discovered was that vibrational frequency has something to do with Schumann's, but it also has to do with the hive, I like to call it. So if you imagine a bunch of bees all together, yeah, exactly. Their little butts get together, if you've seen them on films, and they vibrate back and forth, right? And then they touch each other, and they come together and they talk. And so in that frequency is the vibration of the unity of the bees. And so because where we are in space and time, with the age of Aquarius and with the ascension that's happening on the planet, that frequency became paramount for all of us that are of this vibe to be in touch with each other, whether we're conscious or not. Okay? So, as you know, I have been through a lot of not so happy things in my life, and I've been working on recovery or working through it or whatever name they want to put on it. And so in that, what I have found to be true, and this is a message that I'm hoping, desiring that anybody suffering from this will hear me and go, oh, that's what it is, because it's so paramount. Every time in the last, I've been in business for 13 years, but in the last 6 years, I've had to take my business from this to self-supporting myself and my minor child. And so you know how much money that takes. So every time I would step up to the next level of finances so I could be self-supporting, every time I said, okay, I'm going to go from here to here, I would get sick. Yes. So the first time I got sick, I was like had what would be considered a flu, but I had no symptoms for a whole week. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. But it was because I had outlined in my business what I wanted to do. I knew all the steps. I put it on the calendar and I was ready to activate it, and I got sick. And that's because my level of belief in myself, the vibrational frequency within my heart space, was not matching the mind, was not matching the spirit mind. Mm-hmm.
This is so powerful. Oh my goodness. So, because immediately what dropped in for me was Dr. Emoto's Messages in Water.
Mm-hmm.
How that, he would, the experiment that Emoto Sensei would run is he would put, love on, like he would write love on a thing of water or rice, and then
Right.
let it sit, and then you put hate on a thing of water or ice, and you'd see that the love rice, for example, would stay white and fluffy and lovely for months
Right.
on it, but the hate would get moldy and dark fast. Or if you were to freeze the water from the love jar, it would be organized and beautiful and structurally integrous.
Right.
The water in the jar from the hate water, it would be very how do you say, a random, messy, not at all an organized crystalline structure when frozen.
Right.
So what my spirit guides just told me as you were speaking now about what you were saying is that
Right.
every time you set a new intention, right, love or hate, grow or don't, the entire water and crystalline structure of your body went through a shift.
Oh, wow.
And the water that you were comprised of, right, we're 80% water, had to destabilize and move out. That was from the lower or less structurally integrous form. Like, had to, you have to pee it out, sweat it out, barf it out, whatever you're doing to get it out of you, so that the more powerful and structurally sound water molecules of intention within you can hold the vibration of the intention that you just set for your life and your business. What it looks like in the immediate is that your physical body is, oh man, I'm freaking out, I'm getting sick, oh God, I gotta grow, I gotta support, I gotta blah. Whereas actually, this is the shift happening and you aligning with your higher calling, clearing so that you can be aligned to your higher calling. And that is a natural energetic flow and clearing. It's not that you were breaking down, it's actually that you're getting an upgrade. Am I hearing you correctly?
Absolutely. And you just gave me the most hugest blessing ever, because I've been seeking the answer as to why this was happening to me. Thank you.
Sister, holy cow! Takes one to know one, Bubba.
Sincerely, I thank you. I'm going to hold back my tears. I learned to hold a poker face over the years in this business. So
you don't have to poker face with me. Tears are an anointing from spirit. I am honored for the resonance. Thank you, goddess.
Yeah, thank you. That was awesome, because I kept wondering. So the first time I was sick for a week, right? And I got over that. And so I got my next level of business, in place, right? So I was like, okay, good. Now, instead of just barely making it, being a single parent is not easy and all that. So I was like, okay, so now I'm just making it. But if anything happens, I'm going to tilt. So I need to get to the next level. So when I set my intention for what's that going to look like, how many clients am I going to contact, what kind of content, how often, again, put it on the calendar on the wall, got it all set. And I got another round of being sick for a week. And it was horrible. It came with a fever. I did my due diligence to call out to all my friends and say, hey, is there something going around, in the school system? And there was nothing. It was just me. And it was just awful. And, drank lots of water, didn't eat much, that kind of thing. So here's the big drum roll. You and I know a leader in business that we share in common. And so I had spent, she had a program for a year and a half, and she thought it was only going to be a year, but we did the whole year and a half. So I spent that time with her. At the very end of it, I said, I need, I don't like that word, but I desire to go to the next level of abundance and serve more people. And then it became, no, I just would like to serve more of the empaths. So I narrowed my focus with the highly sensitive people, empaths, starseeds, because this is a time that they really need that support. If you notice on the world scene how people are discussing post-traumatic stress disorder from COVID, have been locked up for a year and all that stuff, and they're going to therapists, and the therapist can't take any more people. And so oftentimes it's left to energy workers that may not be a licensed practicing therapist. Some of us are, for those of you that are. And I started hearing that high-pitched whine again more than ever in my ears. And I kept watching the Schumanns. And so when the frequencies would rise, so would the high pitch whine, to the point where it was almost like I wanted to put earbuds in and play music because it was like so loud. And so I thought, this is a divine gift. I'm going to play with it. So I'm like, okay, let's tune it down a little bit. Guides, can you all turn that down? And the volume would come down just a little, but not much. And so I would go to bed at night and I began to meditate. And I began to ask the guides, ask the energy itself, why am I at this level of intensity and how can it help me? Because, when you get something in your face, for those of you that are watching the video or maybe watching later, when you get something in your face and you're trying to like do this and it's just constantly in your face, pay attention, please. Because I have a tendency in my life, even as a spiritual person, that when something shows itself to me, I'm like, I'm busy doing this. I'm busy doing this. Go away.
God, I wish I had a sign from source. Can you get out of my way? I'm looking for a sign. Yeah.
Okay, you ready? You're going to love this. For those people out there that are watching this and have similar circumstances and the light bulb's going on, my famous quote is, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Because you're not matching up.
I'm on mute and I'm dying over here. I love you. That is so good.
It's true. I go around a lot going, duh. So, but that has to do with self-love. That has to do with suppression that I suffered because of, because of the stuff I've been through in my life, which of course is the divine order, because if I didn't have it, I'd have to work through it. But, so now I'm realizing all this and I'm thinking to myself, let's find out about the high pitched whine. Some people said it was pressure in their ears. I did a couple of Facebook Lives on that, polled some clients, and then I did a meditation and I said, okay, I'm open. I want to know where this is from. Show me why, where. Well, I got, this was right before, this is May. I got a download or information. Sometimes I get it in downloads where I see it when I'm sleeping. Other times I hear it. And I got, you need to teach these 5 things and maybe a 6th thing. So it's like how to focus in on the high pitch whine, how to bring it into your physical energy, how to heal yourself, how to commune, how to make a field, all this stuff. And so I wrote all this out and I started to write it on just a handy sheet of paper, which I often do, which messes me up because if it's on a handy sheet of paper and that gets piled up with a lot of other things because you're a visionary and things stack up, then where's the paper? So I took out my notebook. I was like, okay, I'm going to take the next step. And I wrote it in my notebook that I have all the time with me and put it to the side. And I went over to my calendar and I said, okay, I'm going to start marketing here. And usually have 3 weeks to market, and this is class 1, 2, 3. Here's the platform I'm going to put it on. Here's the payment center, all these things. You ready, Victoria, darling? You ready for this? As soon as I finished that, I realized there was a lot of stuff within that wasn't allowing me to do it. And so I went home and had a discussion with myself in the mirror, eyeball to eyeball, soul to soul, kind of within your, the loop of yourself. And I told myself a lot of things that I didn't like about myself, which wasn't healthy, but I was angry. And so that anger energy, you were asking, does your energy affect your sales productivity? Well, it affects your productivity, therefore your sales. And I was angry and I yelled at myself in the mirror and a lot of other, things that weren't really great, but it was like I was trying to get it off. Now I realized it was the crystalline shift. So I was trying to shake something I couldn't at that moment. It was the water inside of me. And I'm like, go away, right? Well, anyway, the next week I woke up, I was so fatigued and tired and I'm like, what the heck, And if anybody watching or if you have ever drank too much or you've been dehydrated either way and you wake up, that's how I was feeling. And it was that way for about a week. This was, at the end of May because school was getting done. And I was like that for a week and it got to the point I couldn't get out of bed. It got to the point where I didn't want to eat. So I ate I got those homemade cans of, holistic soup. And I forced myself to eat half of it because I knew I had to eat. And then I forced myself. So, of course, the 7 days I had that and tons of water, which is funny based on what you said about the structural, of the water. And I was drinking more water than I ever had, but I felt so bad. And it would all the energy I had to get up, take my child to school, get her in the afternoon and bring her home, and I was wiped. And so at the end of the week, you're going to love this. About 7, 8 days, I hear this big booming male voice in my head saying, "Go to urgent care." I'm like, but I'm doing all the right things. I'm taking saltwater baths. I'm doing all the things to heal myself. And the voice came again, said the same thing. And I'm like, okay, so I did. And the long and the short of it is that when I got to urgent care, they told me that I had walking pneumonia. So talk about an energy shift, because putting that high pitched whine thing out, I did some market research and I found out that nobody else is offering this across the internet. Nobody else is teaching it. So it would have made me a leader go to in the industry. And I say would have. And now here it is a month later, and I'm getting ready again to release it, right? Because I've been eating right, exercising, all that stuff to come out again. And I'm writing the script and everything for it. But if people want to know about sales productivity and if your energy has nothing to do with it, no, not at all. We're all good. But I understand you have a program, and the desired outcome was to touch on your 5-day challenge. Okay, so I'd like everybody to know that the 5-day challenge that she is doing, jump on board, because it's going to be an eye opener for you. The way that my health has been an eye opener for me, because I talked to my dad and I'm like, every time I go to put something out, whatever level I'm seeking, that's the level I get sick, and this is not normal. And my dad says, no, it's really not normal. You figure that out. But on your first day challenge, my understanding, and jump on and help me with this, but it's the physical body. So we are made up of many things. We're part of the collective whole. We're even part of grass, trees, everything, streets, roads, everything is part of it. It's what frequency are you at? And you have a mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and energy body to start. That's the basic. And if all 5 of those things are at different vibrational frequencies, then you will not be successful. Period. End of story. There's the bad news. The good news is that if you take Victoria's challenge and you journal it, if you cannot write, type it out. It's better to write it, because your eyes will see it. Your brain is bringing it out. Then if you want to write and speak it, you get another vibration into your energy field. Your voice is coming out. If you have any fears, they will come out. And so journal every day that she does this challenge, because the first one is physical. So if you're writing about whatever she's telling you in that, and your physiological body is holding poop, then when you're writing, you're going to feel nauseous. You're going to also have the desire to get up and go do something else. And everything else in the world will come up but that one thing. And I can tell you to stay the course, because I've done that before, but it doesn't work. So a gentleman in our field told me to set my timer on my cell phone for 10 minutes. He's like, when you get to the point that you don't want to do what you're on, he said, set it for 10 minutes, agree with yourself that you'll do it for the 10 minutes, and after that, you can have a break. And that's usually enough to break the human mind and get you going. The second point you had was in the challenge is the mental body, the storytelling. I'd like for everybody, in addition to what she's telling you, to listen to what you say about yourself. Because you will tell yourself about yourself by talking to other people about what you say about yourself. Because in the past, I would be in company of people that weren't into metaphysics, that weren't into spirituality, that just labeled me as a weirdo. And so I began to tell people, they say, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a life coach. Right? Because that's what they understood, and that was where I was at. But then when I began to talk to people, I said words like, well, I just clear energy. I only work with the Akashic records. And those words are very small. And if you find yourself, if you really want to get into that exercise she's giving you on day 2, go have coffee with a friend, or if you don't like coffee, have water or something. and have them ask you about yourself or your business or the business you want to be in, and listen to what comes out. Get your voice recorder out, because you're telling yourself what is not happy. The third one is emotional. The emotional emotion, if everybody has a pen and paper, write this down for yourself. The word emotion is 2 or 3 words. It's energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. And so if you have negative juju in your body and you're walking, your energy and motion is going to put that off to other people. When you try to sell, when you attempt to help them, whatever angle you want, it's not good. And for some of us who are a little bit older and the thyroid changes, then our body energy and motion is like, oh, look, here's some extra baggage, and it's all fat. And we're attempting to get rid of it. But in wisdom, make sure you work with somebody, because, side note, you will have toxins in your body you've taken orally, willingly or not, and the fat will wrap around it to protect the rest of your body. So please be sure, if you're losing weight, to do it so that the toxins come out first and then the fat. Otherwise, you will get sick, and it have nothing to do with the crystalline shift. The fourth is environmental, your structure. Please notice what's around you. I know for a fact that during COVID, I didn't come to my office a lot. And when I did, it was just pitching and sorting stuff, and I had junk everywhere. So when I returned to my office, I'm like, I would never have a client in here. So if I would never have a client, why would I have myself? And it was depression, it was anxiety, it was disorganization, all that kind of stuff. And so I have made a rule that I keep my space that I'm working in clean. And the other thing is, your subconscious mind will pick up the piles, and those are little undones, and they bother you. So if you need to, get a box, put them in there, label it undone, and do one a day. Done. And the last one you had is directional. And I'm not understanding that one. Can you share more directional with me?
100%. I'm sitting here being like, oh my gosh, I'm taking my whole challenge in like 5 minutes through Goddess Deanna. This is amazing. Like, this is what I love being in community with you, sister, by the way, because
Thank you.
Channels, no. Channels, no. We are coming from the same source. Look at this. Oneness.
Yes.
We are coming from the same source. So this is so perfect. So for day 5, directional is your alignment. How do you know if you are headed in the right direction? That can be one of the biggest things that is an energy drain, because, okay, we're taking all this action, or I've got this business going and I'm doing all these things. But when I do the things that I said I wanted to do and I get there, there's like this lull or this lack of fulfillment of like, why am I even doing this in the first place? So this is your directional energy as a visionary, making sure that you know that you are calibrated as the compass of your life and your business, so that you're headed towards true north rather than headed east the whole time, expecting to make it towards your true north. And you don't want to head in the direction that somebody else tells you is where you should be going, because I don't know, I personally believe that every single individual is the center of all wisdom, and that every person has a natural intuition, so that when you tune in, tap in, and turn on to who you really are, you know where true north is. You don't need anybody else telling you of 6 steps to a turnaround, or let me transform your life, or let me 10-step to your blah, blah, blah. No. For me, that directional element, like your directional energy, has been huge, because that for me is especially during the challenge, when I talk about my relationship with my spirit guides. How I know I'm headed I get the chills. How I always know I'm headed in the right direction is because of the constant conversation and feedback and connection relationship that I have intuitively to my spirit guides. And I used to only talk to them or do my spiritual seeker stuff personally, but when I brought it into my business and my business operations, how I lead my team, how I lead everything, it just took everything to such a higher, more solid level. And that's what I'm talking about when it's your directional energy is day 5.
That's awesome, because what you were also saying is what I experienced when I kept my walls up to only a certain level of what people viewed of me and said. And then when you open it up, but that's our timing. that you're in my timing, and maybe some other members too of your team or people watching, because the world needs the vibrational frequency of the light workers or the bringers, light bringers, or whatever name you want to give yourself. And so the timing was perfect. And here you are. And, I'm like, this is awesome. The opportunity was awesome. And it was fortuitous when it came up. And anyway, the last thing I would like for you to share, kind of putting you on the spot, but all five elements that you talked about, physical, mental, emotional, environmental, directional, lead to energy exchange, but it also leads to the vibrational frequency of energy coming in, which in this world we live in is usually money. Sometimes it's trading time, sometimes it's trading things, but generally money. And anybody out there who is challenged by accepting money for your beautiful gifts, the first thing I'd like for you to do is to work through that. Because that's where I struggled, and I got hit upside the head with an idea that came from the Christian background, because I came through a very narrow is the way Christian background. That's the other thing I help people do, is come from that into spirituality and be okay with it. But I had a woman walk up to me at an event where I was charging $20 for 20 minutes, getting started. And she said, well, if you're a healer, Jesus didn't charge for his healing, so you shouldn't either. And I said, yeah, that's true. But, Jesus didn't have a cell phone and have bills to pay, so he was good as far as I know, and it was just her trying to put me down and not allowing me to bring that abundance forward. And so when you are aligned in everything that you're presenting, and my question is, how do all five of those things for you and your teaching or your sharing feed into the money energy consciousness? Because for me, it's about serving others in the vibrational frequency, but also balancing me out. And it's one of those subjects has a lot to go. So that's what I'm curious about.
100%. And biblically, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
Raised in the church, father's a pastor, mother is a witch. And so when people come up and try to Bible at me, I'm like, oh, did you know that it also says in the Bible that Jesus was financed by wealthy women?
Oh, no, I did not know that. We'll have to share that later off camera. I'd love to read that.
Yeah, so Jesus, like how he rolled is he stayed at all these different wealthy women's houses, and they paid for all types of stuff because they believed in his vision. Right? So there was an energy exchange. He the 5 loaves, the 2 fishes, the 5 loaves of bread. He didn't bring that. Somebody gave that to him. Hello, payment, and then also return on investment to feed 5,000 off of. That's a heck of an ROI. But anyway,
I love that ROI.
I digress. It's okay. It's just most people are taught to have a lack mindset, especially in certain religious environments, to control the scope of their growth. And I personally don't believe in controlling the scope of people's growth. I believe we are all unlimited beings, and it is good for people to continue to ascend out and past me or wherever they're going. Yep. Wherever they're going. I'm not intimidated by people being successful, exuberant, brilliant, and big. But, some people are, and I can't. But anyway.
I have one last thing to add very quickly.
Please.
You had talked about, we were sharing about the feeling, the vibrational frequency, and there was a key word you gave me about people feeling like worn out or down or depleted. That's what it was, depleted. And so please, if anybody had felt that in the last 2 weeks, do go to the toolsofenergyprotection.com and scroll down in the blog until you see a picture that looks like a graph with a bunch of different colors, and click on that one, because there was a point when we had 2 solar flares and the frequency of the planet changed. And I felt like, and in those moments I was like, why am I doing this? Why do I even bother? I only have this many people in my following and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, this is not me. And so there was a frequency shift. And if people are aware of that, that can help them work through it, because sometimes we can't find our mojo because the frequency of the planet's off. So please go and look. And I think it's 2 blogs back, but it will have a picture of a graph with a bunch of things, and you can read on there and help you to know that it wasn't just you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, and also to answer the question that you asked before I went on a Bible rant. So about how does the 5 steps lead towards money exchange? And so this is getting you into the version of yourself that is willing to be a contributor in a massive or disruptive way in the planet. A contributor in a massive or disruptive way in the planet. Positive disruption. And so how can we tell, though, the level of the contribution that we have given on the planet? There are many ways that we can get feedback, right? We can get people saying thank you.
Right.
Great. We can also track, conversions or people coming and going. Okay. Another way to track, and a way that many people are emotionally and energetically motivated by, or at least taught to be emotionally and energetically motivated by, is tracking the money. And so from getting your physical energy in alignment to being visionary of like, okay, I'm here to shift and move us forward. That's what I'm a visionary. Like, think of like Steve Jobs. He shifted and moved.
Oh, yeah.
He might have been a jerk, but this jerk made this laptop possible, that cell phone, that like lovely little camera or social media like device you have, because he was enough of a jerk and believed the vision who propelled us forward, right? So to get you physically into your visionary body so that you can have enough of what you come in with,
right?
Mentality, the optimal resources you were born with to be visionary. 2, mentally, just like you were saying, the mindset and the storytelling, the words that are visionary, so that you can communicate to yourself and others that shift that you see and are ready to share with the world, right, that you've been called to. And then 3, emotionally being a visionary, so that you've got the fuel, the gas in your tank, that when anybody else who was sane would have stopped, you have that type of emotional passion, right, or drive or heart or faith that is going to carry you over what could have been an insurmountable obstacle. But because spirit called you, you had the emotion to move through, underneath, or with it, whatever that looks. And then 4, environmentally, you've created the space. The universe abhors a vacuum, right? You've created enough space to receive the people, the resources, the recognition, the level of focus that you need, the structures, the team, the support. You environmentally supported yourself to be visionary. And then directionally, you have gotten in alignment so much that you don't have to lean on your own understanding, but you have your spirit guides, your ancestors, your angels, right? The Holy Spirit, however, universe, whatever your special flavor of tuning in to your compass being calibrated, so that no matter what, you are set to going in the right direction as a visionary, right? You are in alignment with your vision. How this comes into money, right? And your financial energy, being financially visionary, is that you are open to being a person who does good work, gets paid good money, so that more good can happen in the world. And the level of money that you are exemplifying, let's say, or that is the level of impact and contribution you have made, the level of positive disruption. Because the only reason why, let me put myself as an example, the only reason why people are paying me for what I do, and at a 5,000 minimum or higher, is because when they pay me that, they are getting at least 10x a return in value of that. So absolutely, I've got to be rich, because whenever someone pays me, entire communities shift, families are healed and brought together. People's bodies are healed. I was just talking to Andrea, like she's sitting up for the first time in 3 years.
Wow.
She took the time to work on it. And I allowed myself to receive the amount of value that could help her focus. You know, there's a phrase that people who pay attention. And
absolutely,
it's important to allow that in so that we can all focus our energy to take the world tribe higher. And so that's why we head towards money and wealth, is because it's just tracking the expression of the impact that you had. It's not about the money. The money is just the sign that you have contributed something big. I mean, Jeff Bezos, love him or hate him, has contributed something very big to our planet. And that's why he's a billionaire, right? And so's his wife who left him. His contribution is so big with Amazon that of course he's going to be making that much money. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a good person to make good money, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person because you make good money. All the money is just a sign of the level of contribution you've made. And I'm on a mission to make sure that every single one of our light workers and conscious entrepreneurs in our tribe is out there contributing and exemplifying, demonstrating that gift that source has called them to. It's not good for you to just hide in the cave, under a rock, under the ocean, humming and feeling yourself and the crystals and everything. Like, that is so good in this cave. It's so good. And that's nice. All right, that's great. Bring that to the people who are like, I hate myself and I'm out in the open. Right? And let them pay you.
Two things resonate. As you saw me looking away from the camera, I'm all taking notes, because when I hear really juicy stuff, I take notes. And then I will write it down. And sometimes, like, I do have one that's been on my wall for years about positively expecting in the universe coming back. Because to me, it's like when somebody says something that resonates, I'm going to put it up in my subconscious field so it feeds my mind. But what you said that just totally was like, oh, moment for me is allow the people to pay you. Okay, because I was teaching academy, which is, if anybody's interested, Spiritual Awakening Academy for people that are at that level that are like, what do I do, right? And I'm going to be opening it up against this fall, so it'll be around September, yay. But in that, I had a gal that didn't quite get it, and she needed a little extra help. And so I took a couple hours out of my day to help her, and she tried to pay me. And I'm like, well, you already paid me for the academy, so this is just me helping you a little extra. And she's like, no. And she had my PayPal address. If you have somebody's PayPal address, you can send them money.
Yeah, whether you get it or not, you get money, honey.
And so after I saw this money, I sat there for a while, and I'm like, right? So when I told you I was sick and I had the walking pneumonia, it took all my energy away. So my business, because I don't have it yet where it can run without me, you know, that one that we learned, it went down. And so I lost about 4 weeks of income. And during that time, it was like my energy was here. And the coolest thing that I learned, if I could learn anything, of laying there and feeling miserable and, you know, having them pump you full of all kinds of drugs to make you feel better. Anyway. But I had to pull my energy in to survive. And so when I started putting it out again back into the avenues, I realized it was a reset button. Do you remember that company that used to have the big red button when you were ordering supplies and it was that was easy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You mean this?
Yeah, I got one too.
What?
You really are resonating. Yeah, privately. But anyway, so I just, you know, it's the spirit's way of hitting that reset button. And thanks to you, yes, I know the water in my body. And so when I was coming out of it, this is the bottom line I desire everybody to please listen to, especially women. I didn't realize how much of my energy I was giving away to people Because that's what I do. I'm an empath. I'm a healer. I am a highly sensitive person and an empath, full blown, all the gifts, talk to, sense, everything is turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how much energy I was giving to people because I cared. And so I had a really bad habit of allowing my clients to text me after 7 o'clock at night when they had issues. And I would answer them because I felt for them in their journeys. And I just, and after I'd been sick, I couldn't do it anymore. So I reduced the number of hours that I worked with clients. And I told everybody after 5, I don't care what kind of crisis you're having, if, I'm not answering. And if you're having a life-threatening situation or thinking about taking your life, 911 works.
That's right.
And so since that time, it's so empowering. And I'm taking some advice I've heard from many millionaires. We're talking about money consciousness.
Yes, queen.
And millionaires that I've either read, listened to, or personally met have told me it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And they told me you reduce the amount of time that you're working with your client. And so if you go on my session books, you will find there's only 2 hours every day available. That's it. And if you don't get into those session times, you got to wait till the next week. And it gave me so much more room because I realized that sad but true, that 2 hours every week or 2 hours a day, 5 days a week would give me enough financial resource to float while I created classes and did other things that needed doing. Now, am I going to stay there forever? Oh, heck no. But it's amazing now. And I've had to cut people off and just say, these are my office hours. And one gal texted me at believe it or not, 2 a.m.
Ooh.
And I had my ringer turned off. So the next morning I got up and during my office hours, I texted her back and I said, the minimum I'm accepting right now is a half-hour appointment. Here's how you make one.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And in my personal life, I noticed a lot of energy drainers. We as healers, people like to plug in. You know how they do. And so I was telling them no. And they were throwing fits. So that's another danger sign for people that may be seeking this path, is that if people are plugging into you and you start to tell them no, they will push back.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
You got that good. I'm going to be mad. I'm like, you cut me off? Where am I going to get this?
Well, and like I said earlier, I find myself working with, people that have been in abusive relationships, either through parenting or otherwise, and they're used to giving a certain level of their energy away. So my first class is going to be about the high-pitched whine and then the academy, and then we'll open some things up about that as well. But it's so important. And when you draw a boundary, it's important to learn how, and it's important to learn who safe people are, and just go from there. And even if it is your own child, sometimes they've learned to plug into you. And it's hard because you want to nurture as a parent, you want to provide them, but they are going to have to fly eventually. So like a robin in the nest, you got to push them out every once in a while. So, yeah, but it's an amazing journey we're on.
So magnificent. Oh my goddess. I am so grateful. I am so grateful, so honored, and so filled from this conversation.
Thank you.
That we've had. My goodness. And so for everyone, I'm sure you're feeling the same way. Please make sure that you go and follow Deanna Gloyd online, connect with her. And for those of you who are ready for the Be Visionary Challenge, join us. It starts tonight, 7 p.m. for the VIP, 7:30 for general admission. We'll see you on Zoom or Facebook, however you're joining us. The link should be in the description of this video. And Deanna, we're probably going to have to continue this conversation because I can sense the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's a big iceberg. And the way our guides are like, and then, have you ever noticed that? They lay out more stuff for you and you're like, but wait, there's more.
I love it. I love you.
I love you too. Big hugs and kisses, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.